But welcome to Pro and Noob. Whether that stays in there, I don't know.
I hope it doesn't, so that people just get me muttering, the low power muttering of the fall of the American Empire as you introduce the show.
That's the sad thing. No one's ever going to know.
Just me being cryptic and having visions. Yeah.
Yes, welcome to episode 9.
Penultimate batch.
Yes, batch. Yes, I was going to say no. This is the third to last, but yes, it is the second to last batch of episodes sessions. Yeah. I apologize, but as always, Mitch 692, Jarod, the trivia loser Jedi.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fun. Go check out my most recent Epic Confrontations match, which I lost nobly.
He did, yeah. I'll give him that one.
This loss did not elicit a crash out.
No,
because of how it happened. It was all I was paid the highest honor I possibly can be by my lovely opponent, Scotty Holiday. They watched their game tape. They came in strategizing, and people putting on a tactical hat to face me is the highest compliment I can be paid.
He was bottomed gracefully. There you go. Yeah. To stick with the innuendos from... I can't remember exactly what Scotty says at the end. He's like, oh, I topped him or something. Just like, oh my God. Had me dying at like 3 a.m. Like, oh my God, what the hell? So funny.
Them and Joe Organa love to flirt with me on camera, and I enjoy every second of it. Wood.
Bless you.
Big wood on both of those. WOULD and W.
I was going to say which one? Which wood?
See, that's me having bars. That's me having bars. That double innuendo there.
That's white guy bars. Let's face it.
That's not white guy bars. That's his great bars. Period. You don't got to qualify it. That's bars either way.
But
it's
brain scratch.
Gay bars. More wordplay. More double entendre. Lyrical miracle. Okay. My pen game is fucking elite. But yeah, brain scratch, memory scratch.
Brain scratch.
And...
All right.
What was the other one called?
I want to say Honky Tonk Woman, but I'm not sure. I want to say that's Faye's first episode.
It is. It's something
Hard Time like...
Woman. It was Hard Time Women. Hard Times, maybe.
Hard Luck Woman.
Hard Luck Woman. No, these episodes were fun. Mitch got a very funny audio message from me as I began the first episode of this lot.
It took me a second to realize what you were actually saying. It was only at the end where I heard Cole. I was like, oh, he's talking about the Cole. I just thought you were rambling about whatever. It's like, okay.
Love cults, guys. I love, listen, it is no secret. I have a deep fascination with conspiracy culture. I have a deep fascination with that weird kind of magical thinking that humankind is so tragically predisposed to in many ways, and the relationship between esoteric thought and belief and conspiracism, and how it kind of bleeds into just cult mentalities across the board. It's always been something I'm fascinated by. And anytime a cult shows up in anything, in any nature, you immediately have my attention, be that in fiction or the real world, in history, whatever. So when I pressed play and saw the beginning, I was like, cult. It's a cult. Thank you. It's a cult. And I was very interested for that, because every story, whatever world building it creates, there is always such a fascinating potential of what does a cult look like in a given world.
Yeah.
For Star Wars, my favorite version of a Star Wars cult is the one Sith from Legends.
I've heard that, yeah.
You know, where because instead of like the rule of two, or it just kind of being kind of like a darkened version of the Jedi, there is one Sith at the top. We all have Darth titles. It's not like the Dark Brotherhood, but like we all have Darth titles, but we all serve like the Sith Lord above all. In this instance,
isn't that what Palpatine was doing in Rise of Skywalker?
No, that was the Sith Eternal, where it was more like there was a cult that worshipped the Sith as an ideology, kind of like Chirrut in Rogue One. Like he came from a people that like paid homage to the Jedi and like worshipped the Jedi practices, but they themselves couldn't touch the Force. The Sith Eternal was kind of that. But with like the one Sith, it was like Darth Krayt at the top in Star Wars Legacy. It's very fascinating stuff. I always get excited for that. You know, the Marvel Spider-Man 2 came out last year, the year before, whatever the fuck that was. I got so excited where it was like, oh, cool, I get to fight a cult. I love cults. I love when cults show up. And the way that the world of Cowboy Bebop is kind of structured and is presented to us, I was immediately like, what does a cult in this world look like? Because again, going back to the Old West of it all, this show takes so many cues from, in terms of its iconography and its aesthetics and all of that. So much of the like frontiersman whatever gives way to an opportunity for like some type of evangelicalism. And in the same way that you always have like, things are hard, things are scary, the times are uncertain, the best big air quotes, kind of like counter to that is somebody who can tell you what is going on and how to survive it.
Yep.
And like that is kind of at the core of cult thought policing. And this world is just so kind of like scattered. I think it's something that's really interesting is that like there is like an interplanetary police force, but like we're never really shown a central interplanetary government. Like again,
no.
Like looking at other like the big sci-fi franchises, there is no republic or empire. There is no federation like Star Trek. It's just, and we aren't even really shown a whole lot of like planetary government. There are officials, but we're never shown kind of like the structure of like who is in charge of what. It's just there are outlaws and people who hunt them and the people who are hoping they don't end up in the middle for the most part. And seeing a cult swoop in here, I think is so compelling. And I was so excited that it would play on this angle of like exalting yourself to cyberspace. And, how in a way prescient that is. That in many ways it's this, give yourself over to the machine. And I don't want to kind of like boil all of this down or even boil current events down to phones and technology bad. I mean, it's incredibly flattening. I think it's very, I think it's very simple answer to a lot of complex questions. Which the whole point of this is that those are bad. You can't simply answer a complex issue, but that idea. Our lives are increasingly more dictated by what is happening on social media, in the media, in just traditional media, AI. So like this episode felt very prescient in many ways. I thought that the cult leader's monologue towards the end, it was one of those instances of the villain is so close to being right, it hurts.
Yeah.
Like where the villain, without saying the words, basically was talking about the concept of manufactured consent, and getting at those ideas of, like we're told do this, that, and this, and you'll live a happy life, and we're all fed a false bill of goods, and God did not create man created God, and then man created the television, and that is God now. You get everything you need to be from television instead of your God. This is just Mitch. I would watch a whole fucking show about this cult. I would watch a whole show about this cult. Just a whole show about members of this religion finding out what we find out over the course of a season of television.
Yeah.
Because if I have one complaint, maybe a complaint or a criticism, but just like, because I was so excited by the premise and by what this episode was about, I almost wish that like, I wish the cult leader had a more substantive motivation.
Yeah.
And and the motivation makes sense because we find out it is a 13-year-old who's in a vegetative state after a traumatic accident. Like that makes sense. But I almost wish that like this cult leader was somebody who was like old school religious.
Yeah.
Or was at one point, and lost his faith and sees the way that like God and faith in all ways, shapes, and forms has been like living through a slow decline, and now in this space-aged, fantastical whatever, why do you need to fall back on scripture when you can travel the stars? And that the great mystery of life loses some of its panache when you have the ability to travel the cosmos, and that the cosmos can come to you. And to have that guy be angry that religion failed him so much that he has started a technological death cult. Like that, I've not been able to stop thinking about that premise for the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
Of this technological death cult. The point is to upload you to the cloud and then delete the cloud. There is no coming back from this. No. And I think that the dynamics of how cults work, it's shown brilliantly with Faye. I thought it was a very brave decision. And sure, I'm sure part of it was just, the way these episodes are structured and there's a time limit. We don't have time to show face on ad, although they kind of do brilliantly do that in a very subtle way, but you don't have time to go like, okay, Faye found out about this cult somehow, and now she's in it and she's fully devoted herself to it and she's on the brink of death because of it. We don't see how she found out about it. We don't see how long she was there. It's just, oh, that's where she went. Which works so well because we see how often Faye will just disappear from the Bebop and then show back up, and everyone's like, hey, where the hell were you? We're losing resources by having to stop and pick you up or refuel your ship or whatever. So that worked for me really well. And that opening montage where, again, coming back to how prescient this is today in a way that, I don't think could have truly been predicted in terms of the specificity. But I can't help but not think about, the algorithm's psychotic need to radicalize to maintain engagement, where it's just, radical cult, coverage of the radical cult, hypercapitalism, and the way that drains you spiritually, psychologically. Hypercapitalism, cult, interviewing the cult, expose on the cult, background on the cult, hypercapitalism. Oh, fuck, I'm in the cult now. And the way that it lands on the Faye interview, that it almost felt like you were watching how she got radicalized into it. Yeah. I thought that was brilliant. And again, prescient in a way that I don't think ever could have truly been planned for, but still worked tremendously well. But yeah, I love this episode. I could watch a whole show about this cult.
Unfortunately, I can only give you 20 minutes.
I'll take those 20. But yeah, really.
No, I really like this episode. I really like that first episode. So my only downside is you don't see. It's not even a downside as much. You don't need to see Faye how she joins it, but it's one of those I'd like to know.
Yeah, and I think
what was she doing?
And I do agree with you on that for some level because, and I love that. I truly like. I know that it was mostly because we wanted to do the final 2 episodes as their own and give them their space to do that. But I'm really glad we did these episodes as a twofer.
Yeah.
Like even if there was a random 3rd episode of, just Jet and Spike go on some random misadventure and then the finale picks up, I'm glad I didn't have to watch that because of how these 2 episodes are such remarkable companion pieces. In the same way that like the last couple like 3 for 3s kind of had an episode that kind of set the tone that would be consistent through that batch, right? And for this one, it begins with Faye doing something incredibly un-Faye-like. And it makes so much sense that for somebody whose identity has, again, this is how cults work, your identity is at its weakest. You don't know who you are, what you belong to, where you want to be, where you want to go, who you are. You are under incredible stress because of the outside world around you, and you have been offered a very quick and easy path. To quote The Empire Strikes Back, dark side, quicker, easier, more seductive. I'm not going to attribute the quote to the character because fuck him. If you know me, you know who it was now. So that turn for Faye, I think, is incredibly compelling just out of the sheer holy shit of it all. Like she got that low and that, disconnected from her own being that this felt like the next logical step for her. So that's great. That's great on its own and very economical storytelling because we've known so much about where Faye is at interpersonally that, oh, fuck, she joined a cult. At no point did I go, I don't buy that.
No.
Had this episode happen like not too long after we met her and there was no setup and there was no like allusion to her loss of memories, how old she technically is and how she's like lost so much time. Like if this identity crisis angle of Faye had not been, has not been set up to as far as it has, the payoff here wouldn't have worked. If this is Faye after we meet her earlier and it's here is this, loud, rambunctious, hot-headed, kind of like devil may care scoundrel who joined a fucking cult out of nowhere, that wouldn't have worked. But because there is that foundation of she does not know who she is, and the longer she is around people she does have compassion for and cares for, the more it's weighing on her and the more desperate they're becoming to survive in this galaxy, the more it is starting to crush her. So tease it up perfectly, and it tees up the next episode perfectly. But I do agree. I would have loved to have seen like her being made this offer. Even
and it's not even
if it's not a literal offer, but just how she goes,
just how she falls in.
How is this sold to her? I think it's the montage we see at the beginning. I think it's framed like that.
I think that's
so that we can understand it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what the fuck? But anyway.
Because part of me thinks you could so easily you haven't got to change the show at all. You can just move one episode to before this, and it's the one where she gets the tape. Or Jet gets the tape.
I was thinking the same thing too.
Like that whole Betamax one, they find a way to watch that on the glasses, and that's how she falls into it, or something like that. Like, I get why it's not, because then it just carries on how the show's structured, and I think it works as is. But if you were going to do it,
you also end up with a really fun like the Fall of Faye Valentine trilogy.
Yeah.
That I think also works really well. I don't dislike that at all, actually. No. If I were to go back and rewatch the show for the fun of it, I think I would skip that episode until I'm about to watch the cult episode.
So they probably work quite well together.
Maybe not, but yeah, and the setup for this second episode, I also thought was, or not the setup, but the episode itself I thought was great because it is so well set up by Faye returning from this cult. Like, we know she's kind of grasping at straws. And
though I do have one problem with this episode.
Oh, what's that?
I wish it was split into two. I wish both Ed and Faye got an episode for this. It's my only thing.
I see that. I don't even necessarily disagree with that.
So I don't necessarily even agree with it myself, but going back to the whole trilogy thing, like I would have just liked if it was split into two. But I'm happy as is.
As is, what I like is that the episode ends with the breakup. And that shocked the shit out of me. And I'm not going to lie, worries me a little bit. Get to that in a minute. Because
you never know.
We'll talk about that in a second. It is in terms of pacing. But
it's a pacing issue. Interesting. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I did really like this episode because, again, it really did land on this exploration of identity. And the way the whole show has, in this exploration of who am I, what am I doing? What am I doing? Kind of being this central question of Cowboy Bebop, as we've talked about before. And it coming down to Faye finally has answers. Ed has family. But, juxtapose it with Spike and Jet. Jet knows who he is. Jet's made his decision, and he chooses to be this wanderer. Spike is running away from his past and is doing it as a Band-Aid. Ed just kind of goes where the fucking vibe takes them.
Yeah. And
Ed's Ed. Faye is the ultimate drifter. Spike knows where he came from. He's running from it. Faye is just running towards anything she can get her hands on. And I love that juxtaposition where it is, help me find where I came from. And it brings all the way back to Earth. And, the accident. And we see what the accident was. And I think it is what I thought it was, that it was part of that big hyper lane.
I'm not sure if it's the hyper lane disaster or if it's just the ship just had a malfunction on it.
Nope, I don't think SpaceX.
See, I think you see the hyperlane in the flashback, but I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not. I know we have seen bits of it, but no, just seeing that accident and there's a character moment that I'm not quite sure how to interpret with Faye that I really loved, but in a similar moment with me finishing Evangelion of I don't understand it, but I feel it. And one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars television, Shadow Warrior in Ahsoka, where it's like with the World Between Worlds stuff, where it's like I don't think I fully understand what the episode's trying to say, but I feel what it's saying, and I love it, but I'm not quite sure what it means yet. I'm having a similar moment with that with Faye when she runs into her schoolmate. When she sees her classmate, who's like, holy shit, Faye. And that was interesting too. That Faye is her fucking name.
Yeah.
That I thought was cool. Because again, that comes with so many implications. The people who froze her and were experimenting on her and all of that. Well, they kind of arbitrarily changed her last name for funsies. It's one of my favorite songs. But they let her keep her first name, but they took away her family name. They wrenched that away from her. Anything that could have helped her find her way home was that name, and it was taken away. Yeah. So she had to figure that back out and just, kind of go through the Mind Palace and the Memory Gauntlet to get back to where it was, locked all the way back here. Speaking of Memory Gauntlets, Marvel fucking Studios, you put that shit in a movie, now I expect a check.
Yeah. I didn't even clock that. Yeah. Well done.
Thunderbolts, asterisk, second asterisk, New Avengers, asterisk. Jarod has been talking about the concept of the Memory Gauntlet since 2021. And because of a mutual friend of ours, I know that term got used in a production meeting at Marvel Studios at least once. I'm just saying.
You got to do, don't you?
Kevin, I will settle.
Don't settle, sue the bull fuck.
I will settle for a Doomsday premiere. I'll settle for a Doomsday premiere. I already have my outfit picked out.
That is such a low ball. Oh my God.
How is it a low ball?
Oh, I just want tickets to the movie.
No, I want to go to the premiere.
I mean,
black suit, my Dr. Doom Roosevelts, my oxidized green Jordan 4s. I have that shit on, bro. I'll even wear a hat. Anyway,
this is why nerds have failed.
No, it's not.
Do anything for a damn movie.
Okay, first of all,
get the bag. Don't get the ticket. Get the bag. He's bald. He has enough money. Get the bag. You won't even notice it.
Either way. But she has to go through all of that, and she finally jogs her memory, and she finds home. And the beautiful visual metaphor of, I don't know who I am, I don't know where I'm from, but I think I found it, and I'm running towards it. Faye, for the first time, is running. Literally, I love unsubtle metaphors. Okay? Sometimes they're more powerful than the unspoken shit. And to have Faye literally running towards something for the first time to find nothing. Not even the rubble of something.
No.
Nothing. There is not a ghost. There is not a skeleton.
She has a rough outline on the floor.
She has a rough outline that she draws out, which I thought was beautiful. I love that idea that Faye, instead of running away from it again, goes, no, I'm restarting right here. I am making this choice. I'm not running away from it. I'm not abandoning it. I'm not doing all of the mental gymnastics that will let me give myself the permission to continue being a drifter. I'm starting anew right now, right here. And that is so fucking beautiful. And that is such a poignant end to her arc. And what I love is that you juxtapose that with the moment she is referred to as Faye by her classmate, and she has that first instance of, oh, I may have hit pay dirt, I may have found something, but I can't quite remember. Runs the fuck away, gets the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Love that. With Ed, what I find compelling about their story here is it's kind of this like full culmination of Radical Edward is always going to be and do what Radical Edward wants to be and do.
Yeah.
You know? And on some level, I think it is depressing that this child, there aren't really any adults who fucking care.
No. Not even her own dad.
Even the crew of the Bebop. Well, I mean, her dad, I'm told early on, the dad abandoned them at, a daycare. And
no, he didn't abandon. He forgot.
Oh, yeah. Same.
For 7 years.
Yeah.
Just forgot. Like, come on now.
Mitch, I've looked harder for shirts I lost when I moved. T-shirts. I didn't lose a single Roosevelt. T-shirts that I lost when I moved harder than Radical Edward's father looked for Radical Edward.
I mean, when the landscape's constantly changing because of meteors, I was like, how are you supposed to find it?
No, fuck that. No. He is such a fucking fabulous chasing, like, God, you may as well be a fucking crypto broker. For God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, like we're gonna hit pay to we're gonna save the world, man. It's unregulated currency, no central banks, man. Like that's all I hear. That is all I hear. Is some huckster trying to make a quick buck and forgetting everybody who they are supposed to matter to. He's a fucking fraud and a piece of shit.
But he does remember that Ed isn't straight. There is that one bit.
Also,
oh yeah, you guys are you my son or my daughter? I forget. It might not be perfect, but at least he remembers there's something going on.
I fully interpreted that as I don't remember what kind of kid I have. Not that
possibly.
It's kind of like has a gender fluid thing going on. That was.
It is absolutely gender fluid. Let's be honest now.
Oh, of course, yeah, but I didn't interpret it as that. And and I also understand that like the crew of the Bebop, like again, they are these like world weary souls who like don't have a lot to give. It is one thing that I've appreciated about this show is that nobody really is like, don't you touch them unless like everything has fallen the fuck apart. And there are moments of like, I will protect you. And there's like a basic sense of camaraderie, but this really doesn't feel like a story about found family to me, which surprises me because I thought it would be. I really thought it was like all these broken souls coming together. And it's like, it's a bunch of broken souls in a room who occasionally help each other pick up a piece of soul here and there. But allowing that with this kid, when Ed walks away, I don't blame them.
No.
And I don't think they're hurt. I don't think they're hurt by the crew of the Bebop. I think they're just kind of ready to move on to the next thing, especially now that they're back on Earth.
I think deep down, not even deep down, the way I interpreted with the whole Spike looking out the window thing is that he is. Okay. I think Spike is hurt that the pair of them gone. He's just
I meant that Ed wasn't hurt.
Oh, Ed. Crew. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I thought you meant the Bebop crew. No, I don't think Ed is. No. I think Spike and Ed both feel, or Spike and Jet both feel some amount of mourning. And that it's we didn't realize how much we cared about both of them until they walked. But I think that I don't think Ed walked away out of a sense of like, well, my dad doesn't want me and these guys barely fucking put up with me. I'm tech support. Fuck it. I didn't get a vibe of fuck it from Ed. No. I felt the vibe of on to the next thing. Well, it's they're just doing what Faye said, right? Find that sense of belonging, find where you belong and go for it. She's like, well, I belong here. Does Ed come back? Who knows?
Who knows? I'm sure very clunkily in the next episode.
Wow, that was uncalled for.
I'm sorry, we'll get to it in a second here. But no, I just love that arc. And again, like you were alluding to, Spike and Jet, I think they're both left like, oh, okay, we're on our own again. And that loneliness.
Especially eating all the eggs. That egg scene is like, yeah.
That was
too many eggs.
Painful. Like I was not expecting to walk away from this show going, that scene where two grown men ate an absurd amount of hard-boiled eggs was one of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my life. Because it is just it just feels like the heart of oblivion. Yeah. Of just this sheer loneliness of it's right back to us and we barely get along because neither of us want to really open up to each other. Scratch that. Spike can't fucking open up at all to Jet. No. I'm sure the moment Spike was like, hey, man, here's what went down with this Julia chick and all of my life with the fucking red dragon. And, I'm sure if Spike spilled his guts, Jet would be like, man, I am so sorry that you've had to carry that with you. And let me tell you my story, too, so that you don't have to sit here alone in vulnerability. Let me spill to you as well. Again, Jet is I cannot believe that Jet is the most developed fucking character of the bunch because on paper, he is the character who, if you gave me a brief synopsis of how all of these characters are when we first meet them, I would have said Jet is going to remain pretty stagnant, pretty stationary because he's kind of just there to be like the grizzled old guy. And we've seen him face all of the challenges and come out of all of them, the better for it as a human being in the way I would have assumed the main character would have. But yeah, I love where it ends with Ed and I love where it ends with Faye and with, obviously Ian going with Ed. I thought was so beautiful. I thought Ian left on his own for a second. I also thought Ian was like, I'm out. And Taylor, it was funny. Taylor had just come home from work and she just kind of like plopped down in bed while I was watching the episode. It was like half napping before she went to go visit her grandparents. And she wasn't watching, but she could hear what was happening. She could tell that like people are walking away and going their own way. And this is kind of like this is a somber moment. And then just heard Ayn go, bark, bark, and like kind of skitter away. And she like lifted her head up and went, did they just leave the fucking dog? And I went,
dog left them.
And I was like, no, the dog left. And she was like, on his own? And I was getting ready to say, he'll probably be okay because he's a super smart dog. And the show spared me from having to say that to her and explain that by Ayn immediately catching up to Radical Edward. But yeah, I thought this was really poignant. It left me feeling big things. You know, what I love is that the big things that left me feeling have no finality to them.
Yeah.
It left me in that sense of, well, fuck. Here we are. What's next? I don't know. You know, I was surprised to feel that. I was surprised to come away from this with that sense of like, well, I don't know what's next. I don't know what is happening now. And I absolutely love it. I thought it was a very brave decision. I know I said earlier, I'm glad that I only had to watch these 2 episodes because I think they are great companions. I really am wishing that the finale was 3 parts now, because the fact that we, and this is what I've been alluding to, the fact that we only have 40 minutes in total to get the gang back together and do however this episode, this story ends. And I don't know, maybe we don't see them again. Maybe this final adventure is just Spike and Jet. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But the fact that we're starting, I would assume that Edward and Faye are going to be needed to come back or going to be brought back in so that they're here for the finale. I'm just very like, how are we going to do this? Curious.
Well, you said the same thing with Evangelion, I think. Twice, actually. I think you said that for both endings.
That had everything to do with the fact that I had no idea what the fuck was going on anymore.
Yeah, but even so.
Like, and I don't mean this in like a dismissive way about Evangelion. I had a full the wheels have fallen the fuck off moment. And we are just like I felt like I was on a roller coaster and we just hit the main peak. And I heard ping, 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 and all the wheels came up, and we were just free falling. Not in a bad way with Evangelion, obviously. I fucking loved it, but there was this sense of like, what is happening? Help! Terror. With this, I'm like, oh man, I hope we stick the landing.
I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that in the slightest, to be honest.
We'll see.
But what do you think? It's a nice little bit of world building, I found, that they cancelled Big Shot.
Because
it says a lot without really doing much.
I saw that moment and I went, I feel like this might play into whatever the finale is.
Whatever's what, sorry?
That whatever the finale is going to be.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, I think there might be something to why Big Shot is going away. And how did you interpret that? Because to me, I was like, I think there's a sense of like, you know, we're going into the final adventure. There is no bounty. Whatever this is, again, just because of the way the show is structured, I have to assume that the only real reoccurring villain is going to be the final boss here with Vicious, and that this is going to be some type of payoff with the Julia stuff. But I don't think it's leading to a big bounty. I think it's leading to a final confrontation, and that it was kind of a cheeky, kind of meta way of going, all right, You know, it almost felt like in most video games nowadays where the game warns you it's about to end.
Yeah. Got to turn back now and prepare.
Where it's like, if you're ready to rock and roll, we can rock and roll. But if you want to go harvest a little more XP, or you don't think this side quest will feel right if you do it after you've already won, turn back. We'll wait. But that moment felt like, you know, are you ready to end the journey? Are you ready to face the Nether Brain? You know, like, to use the Baldur's Gate of it all. But that's what that felt like to me. It also, I mean, I don't know what to expect in terms of like ramifications of that. I'm curious to see if there are any, because I just don't know what to expect. But yeah.
Part of me wants to say what I think. Part of me doesn't want to say it.
Say it.
I'm not entirely sure. You say it.
Uh-huh.
I think it's all to do with it's the extension of how they were when Ed left and when Faye left, obviously. And also the whole eating the egg scene. It's just that everything is coming to an end. Everything around them is collapsing, for lack of a better word. Obviously, I think for the in world, like, look at it, it's bounty hunting's coming to an end. Like, if you got this big bounty TV show and the ratings aren't there, it's obviously because people aren't watching it.
Yeah, which means that there isn't a demand for the
exactly.
The
which, when you look back at all the bounties they've done, they've been getting like weirder and weirder and all this sort of stuff. That the numbers fluctuate for them. But I just think it's a sign that they're kind of relics just stuck there.
Yeah.
Really?
It goes back to that refusal to move on.
Yeah.
It's defined so many of these characters. And, you know, I think it's also like it demands that, like, okay, like something has to change for you guys now too. I do like that a lot. I love that.
I think it sets the finale up quite well. So.
There was a part of me that thought maybe it's something to do with, like, I don't know, like Vicious kind of taking control of the underworld, and, you know, like,
maybe he does.
There's no place for these bounty hunters anymore.
Maybe he does. Who knows?
But we'll see.
You'll never know. I hear you.
Oh, fuck, my lightsaber's over there.
Oh, you found it now then?
It's over there. That's where I'm going.
I was making reference to the epic confrontation.
I know.
Like, what was it or was it on TNAP? You went looking for it and you're like, where the fuck is it? It was in like the last 2 days that I watched it, and I can't think what it was.
I don't remember.
No.
I know that it was close by when we did the Revenge of the Sith episode, because Kaysen made the dick measuring joke and I immediately kicked it on. Because that motion control is so smooth. I love that fucking thing, man.
That is pretty cool. But yeah. So Jarod, where?
You guys can find me over on the Nerd Academy podcast. Mitch and I will be getting out a final review of Daredevil here soon, I promise.
Not invited on for Thunderbolts.
I'll take that. Listen, I'm trying to break Bill in, and he can only do 8 p.m., and I wasn't trying to keep you up for that long. I was trying to be gracious and kind. So, sorry, but...
It's fine. I don't think I've seen it at that point anyway.
Okay, good. But yeah, we have our Thunderbolts review out / New Avengers. I was thinking about changing the title for fun in like a couple days, but
get the tear off they got on the posters.
That's
just
funny.
Put it over your thumbnail.
Yeah, just because of how hard it's been to cover, I think we're gonna just do an Andor season review sometime next week or the week after. just because it's just been hard to keep up with. I didn't get caught up on Andor until the day the Gorman Massacre arc came out. Like it was like Tuesday, an hour. Like I finished it like 30 minutes to an hour before the next arc came out, and then sat down to watch it.
That's too much Andor for one person. It's not good for you.
I only had to watch 2 episodes. I watched the first one the week it came out, but either way, very excited to talk about the season of Andor. Holy shit. I have thoughts, I have opinions, and most of them are positive, and I'm not going to lie to you, it makes me angry that I like this season so much. Taylor, it was so funny.
You're fighting, the persona of episode 3 bad and/or bad is just crumbling away. The facade you put up for the last.
It's not a persona. It's not a persona. It was. I had baggage with how other fans talk about those 2 projects. Got over it, or at least was able to enjoy it and put it aside for Revenge of the Sith for the first time in damn near 10 years. And then with Andor's finally doing the things I wanted Andor to do. It feels more like Star Wars again. I said on Blue Sky how I felt about the Gorman Massacre arc, where I was talking about, I've always talked about Andor paints in the negative space of hope. And despite how dark those 3 episodes get, and just how unforgivably or just unshakably oppressively heavy they are, where it ends is the first time it feels like we stopped painting in the negative space and somebody picked up a very broad brush, dipped it in the brightest color possible, and went, there is hope. It is here. We can do this. And that was the moment I think Andor finally like fully converted me. So very excited to talk about it.
You got brain scratched.
Oh, fuck off. You also, Ionized Bastards, we're recording the last 3 episodes here soon, and I'm depressed about that. But
skill issue.
Skill issue that I'm depressed to end this show that I'm so emotionally attached to.
Yes.
I haven't felt this way since the last time I was in a musical. I think that is such a high praise to Michael. And I said it to him whenever we first started. I was like, man, like, I haven't had the time or the ability to like do theater in like since 2019. Like end of 2019 was the last show I was in. Wow. And there's a part of me that wants it to be my last, because it would mean that my first show and my last show were the same show. And I played the same character. I played the same character in both. It was Guys and Dolls, and I played Harry the Horse, which it's a very supporting role, but it still made me happy for that symmetry. But all of that to say, I was like, I haven't been able to do this in so long. And Michael was like, not only are you giving me the ability to like act again, I'm getting to do it with people who just because of distances and shit, I would never get to share a stage with. And on top of that, I get to do it with Star Wars. So just Ionized Bastards is so special to me, and I'm not ready for it to end. I'm really bummed that it's coming to an end. But I guess
fine. You're doing more stuff.
I guess being earnest and happy and like loving something is a skill issue to this.
100%, yeah. 100%, yeah. 100%, yeah.
Oh my god. We almost forgot about the funniest fucking thing from these episodes. The fucking interplanetary goddamn news agency is called CBC.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That got a big belly laugh from me. Or like, tuning in, CBC, your news. I'm like, hey.
Where'd you think he got it from? Like, come on now. It wasn't Canada, I can tell you that.
Armin did not name his fucking network after an anime.
You say that he is the weeb shell is cracking.
I know.
He's coming out. He's coming out very quickly. It's taking his time, but he's coming out.
That reminds me, I got to get on Comic Book Cast here soon. I think these people who fucking vociferously hate me need me to come say hello very soon.
Well, as we're recording this, we're recording tomorrow. For the first time in like a month.
I'll be there. Stay tuned, motherfucker. What is it? Jelly roll? Yeah, I'm back, bitch. Anyway.
Is it Jello Monkey?
Jello Monkey, yes. Monkey. God damn. Jello Monkey, my biggest op. Oh my God.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I got my biggest op. I don't know Jello Monkey. I'm Jello Monkey's biggest op. I don't fucking know this guy, but
probably just a butt.
Maybe. Although I've had this random YouTube account that I don't recognize if any is my like big haters over at CPC, who has like commented on like the most random Nerd Academy episodes, like just making jokes about me being fat. Classic. It was like a random one on the Thunderbolts review. And then like 2 days later, they went all the way back to when Nerd Academy Movie Club was still a thing and commented on our Attack of the Clones episode to be like, lose some weight. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, this is like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So you can't call me fat 3 years ago.
No.
Like, that's just unsportsmanlike.
It's unsportsmanlike.
Do it with some honor. Come on.
See in the comments for you. No.
The other one that I've had recently, so I'm like just tacking on unnecessary time to this episode. I think a lot of motherfuckers don't know what a neck beard is.
No.
Because people keep calling me a neck beard. And that's it. And this is just one of those instances where it's like, I'm not going to fight you because I'm not going to dignify neck beard as an insult. Like the only reason I dignify fat jokes is because I'm like, you're fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Again, Jello Monkeys, he's fat because he's dumb. That will always be the biggest dumb fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You're dumb and that makes you fat is so fucking funny.
Or are you fat because you're dumb? That's the question. Which way round is it?
I believe it was the one that makes way less sense. Because you're stupid and therefore you eat like shit. Sure, I see that. But you're dumb because you're fat. That because I got a bit of a tummy, there's like less blood going to my brain or whatever. I don't fucking know. But I've had a few people be like, oh, look at this fucking neck beard, like neck beard detected, thought reject or opinion rejected. And I'm like,
I love that sort of shit. It's like, what are you even saying?
I was like, but I have a full beard. I have a full beard. It doesn't even, it stops right here at my fucking chin, too. Like,
is that shaved to stop there?
Yeah, if I wanted, I could have a full like George Lucas beard. I could have like a full one. I keep it groomed to like stop like basically as what I would classify as my neck starting. But it's like again, I'm not going to dignify it, but like you're just incorrect. It'd be like, oh, look at this fucking ginger. I don't have red hair. Why would you say that? But anyway. Stay tuned for whatever depraved shit is said about me in this week's comic book cast, because my candy ass is waking up early tomorrow.
That's if I mean by, so I think the man's still jet lagged.
Well, I'll shoot him a text when we're done. Be like, send me the link. I want to farm you some engagement by me showing up.
And say last week, it's like, yeah, we'll record on Monday. Monday comes. I was like, what time are we going? He's like, I just woke up 3 hours late. It's like, okay, cool. Cool. I'm going to play Clay Obscure. Bing, bing, bang.
That's shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand.
And that'll bring us to the end. I can't remember what it said at the end of this episode.
See
you somewhere someday.
See you, Space Cowgirl, somewhere, some way.